Welcome, everybody. I am so excited for this lunchtime edition of the Scrum Professionals Meetup. And the person that we have with us this month is one of my longtime heroes. I was getting to share with her before the meetup started how she's really one of the inspirations that led me to start Agile Learning Labs. It was 2006, maybe 2007. I met Johanna at a conference called Amplifying Your Effectiveness, which was like Jerry Weinberg and a group of his kind of inner circle, amazing people. And it was right, Jeff McKenna actually really encouraged me to go to that. He said, well, if you're thinking about doing this for a living, you should go meet these people. And he was absolutely right. It rocked my world. Seeing Johanna and her colleagues and the way that they did interactive workshops, right, blew my mind. And just seeing what was possible really inspired me and led me to do what I'm doing. So I am so thrilled to have Johanna with her. So Johanna's often called the Pragmatic Manager, which I think was your first like big hit book. And I consider her to be like pre-agile and super agile. And what I mean by that is her thinking and the stuff that she has been teaching for years predates, right, the stuff that we call agile, encompasses it, but also goes beyond what we often think of as agile. And so she's been doing this for like 3 decades, and she incorporates lots of agile thinking. But I don't know that, Johanna, you would like call yourself an agile consultant. Like I said,
I actually don't. I'm going to talk a little bit about that when I call myself. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. And also, she's one of my book writing heroes, right? Helped inspire me to get my butt together and get, a couple of books out there. But I've got a long way to go to catch up. She's got 18 books. 18 books. Just, link in the chat if you don't believe me, there's the list. So without any further ado, I'm going to pipe the heck down and turn it over to Johanna. Thank you for being with us.
And thank you so much for that fabulous introduction. I'm going to share my screen so that I know what I'm going to talk about as opposed to wing it, because I am quite capable of winging it. Let me pop out the chat so I can see everything if you decide that you have questions. Okay, so if anybody, this is, I am finishing this book. This book is at the, I hope I don't offend anybody, the damn book phase. This is where I am within hours of finishing all the editing, ready to hand it over to my layout person and real cover artist. So this book is almost done, which means it's not yet done, because almost does not count. If you had any insights from your networking about the thing that intrigues you most about consulting, please put it in the chat so I might be able to address it while I speak with you, because it's not just a one-way session. So what I find is that there's a difference between successful independent consultants and not so successful independent consultants, right? The successful ones work in the business and on the business, and the less successful ones work either way, but not successfully to integrate both. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how you might think about this if you are thinking about starting a consulting business. And thank you for putting stuff in the chat, because that's quite helpful for me. And of course, there's this tension of how can you do it all? How can you do it at the same time? The first thing I'm going to talk about is what I call your consulting engine. That if you do all of this stuff on a regular basis, that there's a loop of defining your unique value, your ideal clients, how you attract clients, how you build your presence, all that stuff. If you do this in a loop continually, you will get clients, and assuming you have useful fees, you will make money. So let me talk about this, your unique value, for as the first thing, because in consulting, as with almost any leadership position, your unique value is what makes you different. So I I did a search in LinkedIn for agile consultant or agile coach. I think it was agile coach, and there were something like 95,000 people with the title of agile coach. I am not one of them. So if Scrum Master is your unique value, that's not different enough, right? That puts you in a large category of way too many people. That does not make you unique at all. So what's very interesting about this is clients want the same, because they want to understand, they need to understand what you offer, but you need to be something different to attract them. So I like to think about creating my value and discussing my value for tangible benefits, intangible benefits, and peripheral benefits. If you're wondering, I have vertigo, and every so often my speech just slurs. So peripheral is one of those words I have a little bit of trouble with. So if you think about your unique value as answering this question, why would people ask for you? Right? What is it about you that makes you unique enough to attract clients? Now, the kinds of engagements I want are maybe 1 to 4 clients a quarter. I tend to do shorter term engagements. I tend to do a lot of trusted advisor work, some coaching at the leadership level, right? So I'm not looking for, I don't want to sell a workshop every week. That is not what I want to do. However, people ask for me for very specific things. You can, if you define your unique value, people will ask for you for your unique specific things. So really think about what makes you unique. I think it's all about relationship building skills, right? A lot of people say, oh, I really need to be able to sell. Well, no, if you build a relationship, especially with your content marketing, where you build rapport, you build trust, then you don't need to sell anything. Your potential clients will sell themselves on you. But you need to build that rapport and trust, and then maintain your self-esteem, because people will reject you for wacko reasons, and it's just fine. It's fine if they reject you, as long as you focus on the outcomes you can provide to your potential clients. At some point, they will buy from you. So all of these relationship building skills are all about influence. Now think about how you plan to serve clients. There are 9. This is from McClendon and somebody else. I don't remember the actual reference. It's in the book, which is why I don't have to remember it. There are 9 potential stances of a consultant, and some of it is responsibility for your client's growth against responsibility for your client's results. So you can be a hands-on expert. However, that's where you are responsible for the client's results. When I hire people to work with me in my business as book editors, as cover designers, they are responsible for my results, but they are not responsible for my growth. I might learn from them, but that's an incidental way for them to serve me. So the more you are a hands-on expert, and the more you are a technical advisor or a modeler, where you have responsibility for results, but not so much responsibility for growth, the more you tend, especially if you find engagements via other people, the more you might be a contractor. Contracting is honorable work. There's nothing wrong with it, except it's not consulting. So really think about how you plan to serve clients. And you might say, so those of you who know me, I'm old now. I have earned all of my gray hair. And if I did not already have an existing business as a successful consultant, I might choose to do contracting, because why would I want to do all that content marketing and create a possibly slow build? I might say, you know, I will work with an agency. They will get me as much business as I want, and I will be happy. I like that, Sandra. Vintage. Yes, I am well seasoned and and of a great vintage. I will take that. Thank you very much. So think about how you plan to serve clients, and there is no wrong way to serve them as long as you have mutual benefit. So the next step is to identify your ideal clients. And I really like to start with the pain signals of what people see and hear, and then how you might want to address them. So a colleague and I delivered a very successful engagement, but the reason we had to do two of us on the engagement is that what I heard was everybody said, I can't get anything done around here between 9 and 5. And this is from senior leadership down to every single person on every single team. The technical people said, I don't have time to do it right. I only have time to do it over again. And all the senior leadership said, we need to work on everything because nothing is getting through the pipe. So this is the problem of multitasking. And it's also the problem of how do you help people realize that technical excellence is part of their job. So I worked with a well-known technical coach, I guess I can say that, yeah, who really was able to teach the people on the teams how to create estimates with technical excellence built in. And then I worked more with the senior leadership about their strategy. And then we both worked together on the middle management level, where we said, you got to make some choices. You cannot do everything all at once. You have to be able to choose one thing at a time and finish it. So this business of where do you work in the organization, and those are filters for how you might choose to work with people and not work with people, right? So really think about how you might identify your ideal clients. Now, I am very big on attracting clients with content marketing. Content marketing is what you write, what you speak about, all that stuff. The fact that Chris put something, I cannot wait to read that, Chris. I bet it's one of my favorite things. Yes, everyone is busy, but delivery is slow. Can we say little slow? Yes. So Chris pointed you to some content marketing, right? This is not promotion or selling. It's information. It's relevant and valuable content. You deliver it on a regular basis. It will attract your ideal clients and retain your ideal clients, right? And we do that with writing, with speaking, and networking for future benefit. So I put my LinkedIn in here. I hope that you all decide to connect with me, right? That's a way of doing networking for future benefit. I'm not about to sell you something. I just, and I mean that in the narrowest possible word, I want to connect with you, because at some point you and I might find that we have common interests. So the key with content marketing is you have to do it consistently. So Chris, I'm not going to put you on the spot about how often you blog, because I don't know. So I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I will tell you that since 2003, I just had my 20th anniversary of blogging. And at the beginning, when I wrote fewer books, I blogged more. Now I blog at least once a week. So is that enough for a new consultant? I suspect not. But if you also write a weekly or bi-weekly or monthly newsletter, and if you also speak regularly, that's enough content that you have enough consistency so that you can attract clients. So I'm going to take a sip. Any questions so far? No, not yet. Okay. So sometimes if you're new to thinking about consulting, right, and most of you, I suspect, are in the Bay Area, where a lot of you have seen people get laid off, and maybe you've been laid off, and you might say, I really want to start consulting now, right? Tomorrow or Monday. So for that, you need a robust online presence, and LinkedIn has to be a part of it. Not just your site, but LinkedIn has to be a big part of it. And I like to plan for 3 months of outreach so that you can add people to your network. You can go to meetups as you are here. You can call people to let them know that you're a consultant. Now, the one problem with LinkedIn is that I don't think it has a real place for phone numbers these days. It used to, way back in the day, but I'm not sure that phone numbers are a part of it. So you might have to connect with people. Sorry. Connect with people and then ask for their phone number. If you have their business cards, which I don't know how many of us still have business cards. I believe I went to a conference in January in Dubai, and I gave out only 6 business cards, because even then, even though I was in a different country, people only wanted LinkedIn. They did not want business cards. So it's really a question of how you get people's phone numbers. Now there's a question about what platform do you say is best for content marketing? Thank you for that question. Always your own WordPress or whatever site you have, right? Your site. I got my site back when my first initial and last name was sufficient. I would now have a site that says johannarothman.com, but mine is jrothman.com, which works out well for me. My blog is on that site, and all of my articles are on that site also. So you need your home on the net, whether you use Squarespace or Wix or whatever, as long as you have a place for a blog, it's fine. You always, my opinion and very strong recommendation, you write on your site first and then share via social media. Now, the social media don't want that. They want you to write on their site first. Well, and that attracts people to them. You are providing them content. They are not marketing you. So I use social media to build my presence, but I don't use it as the first place that people find my work. So I always point back to my website. That's how you do content marketing, and use active marketing as an addition. Now, hopefully at some point, Ed, you have a hand raised. Okay.
Oh yeah,
go
thanks,
ahead.
Hannah. Just quick question. Do you think about branding and personal brands and all that. Like I see all that stuff and my stomach kind of turns a little bit because it seems kind of like, I don't know, it doesn't fit maybe my brand is not being a brand kind of guy. I don't know. But do you think about that? Do you have books or things to kind of dig deeper on that or not?
Sure. So it turns out that branding is as a function of everything you write and speak about. I am looking at you on this monitor. I hope that's not disorienting.
No.
But I wanted to see your face.
Thank you.
So the sum total of everything you write about and speak about is your brand. Now, should you use pleasing colors on your website? Sure. I'm going to tell you, I'm not a fashionista, right? I have the same shirts in 10 colors. I have the same socks in 10 colors. I have the same sweaters in 3 colors. I mean, I missed the fashion gene. So I'm not going to tell you that there is a way to brand your website and that works. However, I brand my books to me, right? So my name is always in big letters on the bottom. The title is always on the top. There's, I try not to use the same colors, although I like the same colors. So it's a bit of a problem. My fiction is branded in a certain way with similar colors. And I mean, the products I create are branded. But my regular content marketing is not so much branded as it is consistent. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, let me see. Yeah, I'm using so far I'm using Twitter and Mastodon and LinkedIn and Facebook for social media. If I knew what worked, I would do more of that and less of the other stuff. Yeah, nobody ever knows what really works. And I will stop with my opinions about social media right now. Okay, so once you've attracted a potential client, you can build the relationship even better with a discovery call. Now, what's interesting about the discovery call is it helps the client tell you what's going on, right? All of your content marketing has attracted them. Maybe some of your active marketing has attracted them. And if they say to you, I'm too busy, I just want, anytime they say, I just want, you know, this could be the client from hell. So I really like to talk with, I know I made people laugh. I really like to talk with people in advance. And I want to know what's their context, what are the boundaries, and I want to start testing options with them on the discovery call. Then I tell them when they can expect me to respond. So it's very important to say to people, I do these kinds of things. I don't do those kinds of things. I don't do those kinds of things. This is my wheelhouse. Now, I'm not saying you should have a really narrow wheelhouse, but I think you need to specify who your ideal clients are so you can write and speak for them and then attract them so you can build a client relationship. Oh, I don't think I've heard of that, Chris. I will have to use that. I will have to look at that. So the more you understand, and I only do this for an hour. I am also happy to give you, I will post the slides later on Speaker Deck, so you don't have to take a picture of every slide if you don't want to. So I really like to think about, yeah, that makes sense. So I really like to think about what is the situation, and is that something I want to propose some kind of a solution to? I might not want to, but chances are good because I I use my content marketing to start this relationship. I only get kind of the right kind of clients responding to me. Now, I will tell you, I have very specific aims for a proposal. I always offer 3 alternatives. And that means I can show my prospective client that I understand his or her problems and their desired outcomes. I understand both of them. And I often find that they have not considered all of these alternatives. Now, the nice thing about 3 alternatives is you get to use an anchoring bias. Do you know about the anchoring bias? I believe, is it Kahneman? I don't remember which of these. One of these economic behavioral researchers talks about all these biases, but we can use anchoring bias for our benefit. And I will talk about fees in just a second. Given that you have 3 alternatives and that the middle alternative is really what you think the client needs, and you offer a fair fee for this, you can anchor the client on that particular alternative with that fee. Now, I will say to you, I have had great results with project or value-based fees. I never, ever, 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 ever propose anything by the hour. Never. And that's because when you offer by the hour work, you have a dynamic that pits you against the client. The client says, I want Johanna for fewer hours. And I say, I want more hours. Instead of optimizing for the outcomes, we optimize for the time. You've seen that? It does not work. Well, mostly it does not work. I suppose it's possible for it to work, but I don't know of anybody who really makes it work. Now, in terms of terms that go along with the fees, I strongly recommend you never accept any kind of fee structure that requires you to wait more than net 30. Right? Net 30 days is from the time you send an invoice. 30 days later, you are supposed to get the money. I have some clients who do net 45 business days. That's 60 days. And this is a Fortune 10 company, right? These people are nuts. I also offer a discount for full payment in advance, anywhere from 5 to 10%, because that's worth it to me. And I mostly offer a 50% deposit and the remainder net 30. Now, Daniela, if you have Agile coaching and you are doing ongoing Agile coaching with no end in sight, I would reframe that kind of an alternative. I would reframe that as a trusted advisor, or make it a short-term consulting, I should say, coaching contract with an end. So you can, if you do trusted advisor work, you can say you have access to me with these under these situations, and here's a quarter-based fee. You use the access, that's great. You don't use the access, that's fine. But you get the money and you get it in advance. If you have ongoing coaching, just as if I'm gonna go back to this picture. If you are ongoing coaching, I bet you are doing much more technical advisor or reflective observer work. That's very hard to show how you are unique. So if you are doing ongoing coaching, I never have a coaching engagement that goes longer than 6 weeks. And I have had clients who have been coaching clients of mine for years. Well, we do 6 weeks and then we change to something else. So I strongly recommend you think about change and how you can make a better outcome for you and the client, right? Better outcomes means they have different problems. If they have the same problems week in and week out, month in and month out, you are coaching at the wrong level. You know this, right? So you need to figure out how to propose a different alternative that they will still pay for you. So Ed asked, at what point do you start discussing proposals? When people ask me to talk about, here's what I think I'd like you to do, right? That prompts the discovery call. At the end of the discovery call, I say, I will send you a proposal and I will send it to you in a couple of days. Some of my clients have very intricate problems where a problem over there causes problems over here, where it's a whole system. I need a couple of days to put that proposal together. So I really like to take either 24 or 48 hours to send them a proposal. So I had a discovery call yesterday at noon. I told the client I will send them the proposal by the end of the day on Friday, which I said meant 5 p.m. on Friday. So you might want to email me, but I'm not expecting to hear from you until Monday. So at the end of the discovery call, I decide whether or not I want to propose any kind of a solution or really an engagement for this client. Does that make sense? I hope so.
Yep, he gave a thumbs up.
Okay, good. Do I see AI such as ChatGPT making an impact on consulting? Would it help with consulting? Right now, ChatGPT is an excellent proposer of the next letter and the next word and the next sentence. There's no intelligence there. So, and I suspect that until ChatGPT can analyze the understanding, which it cannot do right now, maybe it can in the future, maybe it will help. But right now, all it does is scrape everything off the internet. It's an excellent scraper. Half the time it's wrong. So Grammarly is wrong, right? So Grammarly often, I often phrase things that we want to end multitasking, and that's just too strong for Grammarly. So they always suggest, if you want to sound more diplomatic, they say, we could use multitasking under these circumstances. No, I don't want to sound diplomatic, right? That's, I mean, it's just nuts. So AI is stupid right now. It's artificial, not so intelligent. So it might help you when you want to create a proposal at some point in the future. I have not seen it useful at this time. Oh, it's very useful for marketing copy. So if you have to write marketing copy to run a public workshop or a blurb for your book, yes, use ChatGPT, but as one of your inputs, but not for an alternative. Okay. Now, I am very, very big on managing your intellectual property. So the reason Chris was impressed with my number of books is because I've been blogging all these years. I've been writing articles all these years. Some of it is freely available, right? The blog posts, the newsletters, most of the articles on other people's websites. My books are available for a nominal fee. And then all of my other more in-depth intellectual property, especially workshops, my simulations, those are all custom and much, much higher fee. So I do not make them freely available, although I use them in workshops. I use them with clients, which means once you have an engagement, you must read all the contracts, including the NDA, the SOW. If you're lucky, you get to write the statement of work yourself. The master service agreement, any non-competes. Companies are very interesting objects. They are run by people, but it would be hard, you might be hard pressed to understand how those people think that they can collaborate with you based on what their lawyers want to do. So I have actually read contracts and said to possible clients, I cannot sign this. This contract says you own all my slides. You don't own them. I own them before, during, and after. I am offering you a copy of them for your personal use, for the personal use of the people in the workshop. I am not offering you a license to use those slides for the company. Just not. So if you don't want to, if you insist on this NDA, I must insist on not doing the work. So your IP matters, and it matters in every single thing that you do. Okay, so I really like to think about how it can strengthen the client relationships during the engagement and then at the end. And I find congruence really helpful. That's where you balance the self, what you have to say, the other, your economic buyer, and the context. What is going on for them in the organization? And I often have to offer bad news. That's part of what they pay me for. So I don't blame the client. So these are all traps for both the client and you. One of my colleagues said at one point in a workshop, but they're doing Agile all wrong. And I said, maybe they're not doing Agile. Maybe they're not doing Agile the way you think they should. And maybe they're just calling it the wrong thing, but are they able to release anything? And he said, well, yes. I said, so they're not doing it right according to you, but they're doing something that's somewhat effective. So instead of doing it wrong, how can you create an engagement where they can be more effective? And that's what he said. Oh, right. So if you think about congruence, you won't take care of the client, which is what you might want to do if you want to add more work. If you're trying to work at a different level that they have not hired you for, that's also placating the client. There's all kinds of interesting congruence traps and if you want more referrals at the end of the engagement, staying congruent is the best thing you can do. So I really like to think about how we work on our business as how we create systems for our success. How you make money, which is your how much you offer remote, in person, at various price points, the systems that you need to manage your money, your health, and your calendar, how to collaborate, what success looks like for you, and how to adapt and evolve your practice. So I think your business model is so important. The more you can offer low fee commodity experience at this point at conferences and it may be some of your writing, but the more you offer in your writing and speaking as something unique, and the more high fee custom experiences you offer, that's how you will create a successful business. So you can do it all one action at a time. Use content marketing to attract clients, deliver valuable outcomes as you fulfill as you fulfill what a client needs, and then help them reassess what they want to do next. Create a business model that works for you and your clients, and that way you can learn and thrive. So I will have a consulting workshop again later on this year. I'm not sure when. The writing workshop, I'm almost ready to open the Q2 writing workshop, which is good because it's at the end of Q1, and the book is almost ready to publish. So let me, I'm going to stop the share and see what other questions you have.
Season's got
Season.
Yeah, I actually saw
Okay.
a really good question in chat from Amber, and she asked if you're on the discovery call and you realize the client is someone you're not going to work with, how do you handle that?
I say, I'm the wrong consultant for you. I say either I don't do the thing that you want, or there are people who are difficult people, and no money in the world would make me want to work with them. So that's what I say. I'm just not the right consultant for you. We are not, I'm not feeling the meshing of agreeing on a common outcome. So I wish you luck. And I don't refer other people to them. I let them find anybody else, because I'm not going to inflict that particular client on my trusted and treasured colleagues.
Johanna, I've got a kind of a general consulting question for you. For people who are thinking about making the leap, right? Maybe they're, they've got a corporate job or what have you right now, but they're like, oh, I want all these things that can come from being independent.
Mhm.
What's your advice about what are the things they should have in place before they make the leap? And then after that, we've got a couple of questions queued up.
Okay, so this is where I would make sure that my NDA with my company allows me to write and speak, not about the company issues, right? I can write on my blog, and I might have to say on my blog, these views only represent my opinion, not my company. And a lot of companies are really happy with that kind of a thing. So I would first do that, and then get a blog and start writing. I would also volunteer at something like this, right? The more you make collegial relationships with various colleagues who are professional, the more you can extend your reach. And then link with them on LinkedIn. Don't tell them you're going to start a business. Just link with them and say, it's so nice to see you at Agile Learning Labs meetup, or it's so nice to see you at whatever, right? That way they associate you with getting out into the community and doing everything. And then I would start an email newsletter. I started a newsletter. I started my business in '94. I started a print newsletter in '96. I moved it to an email newsletter in '99 or 2000. So I've had an email newsletter for years, and believe me, it was painful back at the time. However, I find that I don't have to touch people. I don't have to write that often, but I do need to be consistent. So, and yes, a cushion of savings in place, absolutely. Right. So that first year where you're thinking about it, make sure you save your money, reduce your expenses, make your living expenses as low as possible, which when I started my business, My children were 6 and 2, so that was a little bit of a challenge. But yeah, and then the more content marketing you do in advance, the easier it is to start the business. Okay. So Daniela and Craig and Ed, I don't know which one of you had a question first.
Daniela and then Ed.
Okay.
Ed was first.
No, that's fine. I've talked a lot.
Okay, thanks. I'm curious about how you write up your SOWs. And so, I saw some examples in some Google searching for Agile contracts that I really liked, but I've never actually written up an SOW myself. I did it back when I was a consultant at an actual consulting firm, but I don't have access to those templates.
So, do you write a proposal first for your work?
Well, right now I'm just about to potentially be hired to consult part-time as an Agile coach for a small financial tech company. And this will be my first totally independent consulting gig. So I don't have what do I do first? I have had the discovery call. I've met with the CTO and I'm following up with them tomorrow. So I'm thinking tomorrow might be the discussion about money and time commitment and whatnot.
Yeah. Oh, so especially if it's a part-time Agile coach. So I would make sure in my proposal, I explain what I would do. And even though you're having a discussion with them, I would say, and possibly an agreement, I would say, I want to put all this down in a proposal for you, just in case, right? And that way you can really focus on the outcomes and why you are worth what you're charging them.
Okay.
That goes back to the 3 kinds of benefits. So, and then what I find is that most of my clients either take my proposal and use that as their SOW, or they copy and paste it into their SOW. So,
okay.
So it's
okay,
really
so it's sort of okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Ed.
Yeah, how do you set price? How do you recommend setting price?
So because I use project or value-based pricing, I also use a test of, am I happy with this price or am I not? So I am doing a private workshop for a very large financial institution, and they don't want me to use my Zoom. They want me to use their Zoom, their computer, their learning mechanism, their everything. I doubled the price. It was not enough.
For you to do it? Or...
Oh, I agreed to double the price.
Oh, okay.
But I'm realizing now I underbid that.
Oh, right. Because you didn't want to do it.
I am no longer happy with that. So if I'm going to use $50, right? I made it $100. I should have at least tripled the price, because they are getting much more value, and I am getting less money from my time. So I tend to look at about how much time am I going to take to do this, and then what is the value to them? How much will they save? I did a newsletter recently about tangible benefits, intangible, and then the P word for benefits that I can't say without saying peripheral. Yeah, fine. I use all of those and I explain them in the proposal. That's why all of you Agile coaches, you're not charging enough. You are just not. Okay. Deanna, how about you?
Yes, I was just going to put it in the chat. So kind of going back to the previous lady, have you written a book on how to get to those 3 alternatives on your slide 6?
Yes.
Okay.
It's in, well, so here's the quick answer. Often the client wants outcomes, right? Champagne outcomes on a beer budget. So I say to them, you can have this outcome as alternative one. It's not everything you want. You can have this outcome on alternative two, which is pretty much what you want in the time frame that you want it. And if you really want to solve these problems, this is alternative three, and this will create facilitation, collaboration, right? All this good stuff that you really want. So yeah, I find that that's actually, most of my clients underestimate by an order of magnitude what the outcomes are that they want. So
Okay.
I use that.
Okay. And what book would be good that talks about kind of that type of stuff that you've written?
So it's the consulting book. Let me
Okay.
do,
That to
Yeah.
become a successful independent consultant?
yeah, this one.
Link in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Oh, you're welcome. Oh my
All right.
goodness. And I am seeing that we've crashed through our time box, but boy, we're still people here and we're still talking. I'm not opposed to going a little bit longer if Joanna's time allows it, but I do want to be respectful of your time.
Yeah, let me answer a couple, or at least this one question, and then we can do this like green coffee, continue or not. What's my honest advice for people thinking of being an independent consultant? If you want it, you should do it. I have learned more in my years of consulting, and we met sometimes at some time in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, something like that. And we have stayed in touch intermittently. I don't even know if you if you subscribe to my newsletter, but we recognize. Oh, thank you. So I find that I have learned more from my clients because they made me write it down. They made me talk about it. They made me have to explain it in a way that made sense for them. I had to create simulations, right? These interactive things that allowed them to really learn. So, and I learned from all of that. So, which allowed me to write it down better and faster. And yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a wonderful way to create a career that really works for you. And now that I'm of a specific vintage, I can choose. I can really like that. I can choose whether or not to spend more time with my kids, right? My husband and I have a grandchild, which is very exciting, and we can choose to spend more time with them. We can choose to take another week or two of vacation because I have a business that works for me, right? And I think that business, a life in a business that works for you, I think that's really important.
Sure.
There's Rajesh said he'd like to bump Amber's previous question about setting fees. Is there a general rule of thumb or some reference you could post or point people at for those coming from the full-time world trying to figure out a consulting rate?
Okay, so let's talk about your current salary. Add on about a third, well, maybe since you're in the Bay Area, at least another half. That's what you need to gross as an independent. That's the minimum you need to gross as an independent. Now, you're not going to work every single day, 5 days a week for 50 weeks a year. I don't know any consultant who can get that much work. So if you, I walk through this in the chapter about fees. So when I started my business, I said to myself, I can pretty much, the maximum number of weeks I can work in a year is maybe 40. So what do I need to charge people to make those? And can I even work 40 weeks? The answer is probably not. So let's say I can get clients for 20 weeks a year. If I want to gross at least 1.5 times my salary for those 20 weeks, what does my hourly rate need to be? That's how I started to think about it. So then I said, does that help my clients understand all the benefits I offer? And that fee was way, way, way too low, right? So let's just say back in the recession of, well, the recession of 2001, that's far enough away. Some of you might not have been born then. Okay, so, well, probably you all were. But in 2001, I think I was charging something like 10 grand for a 2-day workshop, something like that. I don't remember. I would have to go look. The people who were laid off, right, because after September 11th, tech went through a huge layoff and recession, right? People were running project management workshops for $500 a day. They were in it for the grocery money. They were terrified they were not going to have any money to live. Was my 10 grand going to compete with them? No. So it's always a function of, and that's why you need to differentiate yourself and talk about all 3 kinds of benefits in their proposal. The people who buy project management workshops, this is what I was doing back then. The people who bought project management workshops for $500 a day got what they paid for, right? And everybody won, right? Because the companies didn't spend a lot of money and people had grocery money, but they didn't get the benefits that they wanted. So the more you think about your value, the more you think about the benefits you offer, the more likely you are to figure out the right fee for this particular engagement. And that's why I always say to offer 3 alternatives, because you're taking care of your clients, you're not taking care of yourself. So you do the beer budget alternative 1, and then you do the rational budget alternative 2, and then you do the champagne budget with all the ongoing coaching and the coaching circles and the facilitation and this and that. And that's often what your clients need. But if they only buy alternative 2, it's often a fair price for the outcomes that you will offer them, right? So really think about, how do you create a proposal with 3 alternatives that get to their outcomes? I have had clients, well, I tell the story in the book of how I did not have a client who really wanted to pay me by the hour. And they could not imagine that $500 an hour was useful. And I said, you're paying me for the outcomes. You're paying me for the 23 years or my 40 years of work. And knowing this is with the car mechanic sign. It's the $99 to understand the problem and the $1 to fix it, right? This is, what is that car mechanic sign? Oh, nuts. I can't remember. But Chris, you know what I'm trying to say. It's all the years of experience.
I used to be a mechanic, so I know this one. It's like, you're paying me $99, you're paying me $1 to, adjust the setting. You're paying me $99 to know which setting to adjust.
Yes, thank you. I knew I couldn't ask you. So yes, it's that's why it's so important. You will help yourself with 3 alternatives. And really thinking through, what is the value to that? My most recent newsletter was about those 3 kinds of benefits for people looking for a job. But that's exactly the same kind of thinking for you as consultants.
And one little thing I'll add on there about like the thoughts about setting your price is advice I got early on in my journey with this when I was independent, right? It was just on my own, was somebody, I don't know if it was Johanna, but somebody who'd been around for a while said, well, you got to factor in the rule of thirds for consultants. I said, the rule of thirds. And they said, you'll spend a third of your time doing work for your client, right? That's earning money. You'll spend a third of your time looking for work and selling, and you'll spend a third of your time on the back office part of your business. And so when you're thinking about setting rates, you have to factor in that of all the work you're going to do, maybe a third of it will be the revenue generation. And so, and that, in my experience, that rule of thumb was pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, there are always some weeks I do much more content marketing, right? This is my second talk this week. So this is a week with more content marketing, but I'm also writing a proposal. So, yeah.
Yeah, can I ask one more question, Johanna?
Yeah.
Do you find that books are helpful more to generate interest or clarify your ideas, or do you love to write them, or do you write them to, earn some percentage of your overall gross, just to pay the bills? Or how do you think about it, I guess, is the way I want to ask that.
So I don't think of the book itself as a real revenue generator. I will tell you that across all my books, I make about enough for daycare for my grandson. So, and that might give you an idea of where it is. That's on a yearly basis. So, however, a book leads to a workshop. A book leads to other interesting consulting, such as trusted advisor work. So while I do make money from my books, but I'm not going to retire on that money. But every single book leads to other business. And after I write the next couple of books, which is about life cycle and replanning and roadmaps and stuff, I intend to write the triad about write your nonfiction book, publish and market your nonfiction book. But that's, I got to finish the consulting book. I got to write these two books. Yeah. I have so many ideas. The ideas are not the problem. Time is the problem. Yeah.
Thank you.
Love
You're
that. I wonder if you've got time for maybe at least one more. I've got one I'd love to poke at you, because you said something earlier that I was like, oh, I want to hear it. What are your thoughts on the value of social media marketing? Like, the work to like get your name out there and, like you say, value add content that you're putting out on the LinkedIns and the Mastodons and the whatever. Just love to hear a little bit more of your thinking.
So I find that you guys, some of you know me very well, like Ed and Chris. I am so geeky, right? Human here, have trouble, probably on the spectrum, fine. I don't really like social media. However, because I don't know how to be social, I have something to say. I want to say it, and then I'm going to get off because I have other work to do. I mean, I don't really want to spend time on Facebook or Twitter or Mastodon. I just don't. So I am probably the wrong person to ask about this. However, my opinion is that we can use social media to get our word out. And the more followers and people who enjoy our stuff, they will help us spread the word. I think of social media as the ripples in the pond, right? I drop the pebble, other people can help boost my stuff. And I try and boost their stuff. I'm using boost as in Mastodon. I could use retweet or share or whatever. I try and be a good doobie, but I don't really want to spend more time there. So for me, it's a really hard answer, because I want to be sociable. I want to be social, and I have work to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This spurs one other question in me, which is maybe it's unrelated. I don't know. If I'm thinking maybe it's around the same yet different. There's a lot of frameworks out there that are there to sell some, A-level consultant like you, like they're like created those to create armies of people to go and, kind of sell this stuff. So that creates some sameness. Like I'm not going to mention the 4-letter one, but I'll mention, Scrum or Agile. They're all brands that are there to like give you some sameness, but they also do not make you different. So how do you think about all those things that have, the Agile industrial complex that sort of evolved out of, the goodness that was, and now there are all these different flavors of these things. Do you think, hey, like it'd be good to like attach yourself to one of those, or like just stay away and just do things that are unique and different that fit your brand, whatever?
So I think if I was starting now in the Agile community, I would find a way to marry some of those. So for example, I don't know how many of you have read Create Your Successful Agile Project, one of my more recent books. It's fine. That marries Agile and Lean, right? I use the flow metrics and I take down velocity, and I talk a lot about, thank you. And I talk a lot about how if we use principles, we can succeed. I have sold workshops based on that book. So there are people who appreciate not the Agile industrial complex. They appreciate something that they can use for themselves. Now, do a lot of people in our industry want the recipe? Yes, those people will use frameworks all day long. They will only go to the big X consulting firms whose name starts with letters of the alphabet that are fine. I mean, good for them, right? But I don't want them as clients, right? That's why your ideal client and understanding the value you offer to that client is so important, right? I don't need, remember, very few of us need $1 million worth of consulting a year across 25 clients. If I do, and I might offer a trusted advisor work for a very high fee for some of those people, because they're going to be pains in the tushes, right? And the value I offer them is worth it. So this is why it's worthwhile thinking of, what do I offer for an assessment? What do I offer for workshops? What do I offer for coaching? And what kind of coaching do I want to do? While I'm establishing myself, do I want to take on a continual kind of team coaching job? Maybe that's right for you now, but I think that those jobs are not well paid enough, not for me. I mean, I don't know the going rate, but I saw something that said $40 an hour. Who are you getting for that? Not somebody who understands the dynamics of an Agile approach and what the team and the managers really need. That's competing based on price. I don't want to do it. So that's why it's really worthwhile. And I think you were one of the first people I saw who said Agile starts in the middle with management.
Mm-hmm.
You said, you gave that talk years and years and years ago, or you said it somewhere. Do that again. Talk more about that, right? That's your unique value.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, what can I say? Johanna, I am blown away. Number one, by your content, but that didn't surprise me, but also by your generosity. Hanging out like all this extra time with the folks who were willing to hang out past. I was private messaging back and forth with Season saying things like, oh my goodness, I'm so fanboying right now. So I'm just thrilled to have you hang out with us and to see you get to share the benefit of your experience and your wisdom with this group. Really, really grateful. Thank you so much. Give it up for Johanna. Hey.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here, and especially those of you who stayed late. Yeah, because I get to talk about this stuff. It's so much fun. Thank you all very much.
Hey.
Thank you.